Communication plays a fundamental role in all aspects of a business. Therefore, internal and external communication, even if it's in your organization or your workers, communication must always be effective. Effective communication is important for the growth of any company. It assists the managers in doing the basic management functions like planning, organizing, motivating, and controlling. Communication abilities, whether written or spoken, are the foundation of all economic activities. That's why effective communication is considered a foundational component of every business. Communication is an art and a talent, and there are various methods to communicate a message, and to do it with perfection, we should express and receive knowledge correctly. A successful interaction is to express and not to impress. Conciseness and brevity are essential for good communication skills, and it is often best that the thoughts to be shared are concise, brief, profound, and straight to the point. Effective communication enhances problem-solving abilities. It analyzes changes, resolves conflicts, misunderstandings, and disagreements, and evaluate potential solutions for any organizational conflicts that involved in the operation of a business. Now, in this module, me and my group mates will report the importance of having effective communication and to inform you about the things that gets in our way in communicating and what to seek to overcome them.
Lesson 1. Miscommunication leads to inappropriate assumptions resulting to organizational conflict. Workplace discontent arises due to social disagreements, inadequate communication in vague words, or behaviors that have detrimental effect on the company, like poor performance, lack of teamwork, low morale, and reduced profits. Poor communication, or the lack thereof, holds the risks of having wrong assumptions or misunderstanding one's task or collaboration with other people, which eventually results in an organizational conflict. In line with McQuarrie, 2019, conflicts typically arise due to a failure in communication or misinterpretation of other parties' expectations. It is common in settings that involve collaborative efforts and unchecked gossips. In situations concerning collaboration, for instance, team projects, leaders or department heads should use the standard metrics in delegating project components, setting clear timelines and deadlines to avoid uncertainties, missed deadlines, finger pointing, or blaming results. Whenever there are unregulated gossips in a workplace that may concern their jobs or the company's future, such rumors needs to be immediately stopped by addressing and clarifying the real story and posting a company-wide announcement. This is an example of the miscommunication model by Mahaffey 2019, promoting working relationships. The model demonstrates how common traits, past experiences, barriers, learned patterns, language, meanings, emotional reactions, life interference, and family rules contribute to a breakdown in communication between people. It also introduces a way to build a happier relationship through the application of the WDEP system, Want, Do, Evaluate, Plan, helping the parties to not only understand the barriers, but also attain mutual goals by assessing what they want, need to do, evaluate, and plan. One good way to fight miscommunication that leads to needless tension is to develop corporate communication policies such as meeting minutes, updates of programs, and a chain of corporate hierarchical order and procedures. Meeting minutes are used to inform people, especially those who were not present in the meeting, keep track or revisit the decisions deliberated in the discussion and use it for future decisions. Project updates or project status reports ensures the project's progress and health, showing whether the organization is on track, at risk, or off track. Corporate order and policies to effectively resolve disputes or conflicts and to set order in the organization. Besides miscommunication, conflicts can also arise because of the differences in cultural context and personalities. The following cases should be observed and carried out specifically by the human resources staff or HR to combat possible future organizational disputes. 1. Cleanliness and order in the workplace. 2. Respect for all co-workers. 3. Noise level regulation. 4. Covering workloads when co-worker is sick. 5. Provisions of employees handbook. And 6. Providing training for employees, behavioral and motivational enhancements.
Communication is part of our everyday life. However, sometimes we still make mistakes that will cause misunderstanding and miscommunication. This misunderstanding and miscommunication are never been good once you are part of an organization, and especially if you are a leader. Therefore, as a leader in an organization, communicating clearly is one of the most effective skills that you should develop. Always remember to use non-verbal and verbal cues when communicating. So how or when we can say that we communicate in an effective way? Let us look at this model. This model shows the set of things for us to communicate with others effectively. Those words are governance, knowledge, capacity, and advocacy, which have something to do with the words overlapping in the inner circle. Let us start with governance. In any form of organization, a leader governs to protect the organization as well as his people. How? By talking or by speaking out the right of his people and the right of his organization without letting his emotions get out of control. Next is knowledge. Having a proper knowledge when talking about something is important because it will prevent any confusion and it will prevent any misunderstanding to your audience or listeners. Since we are dealing with different people every day, we should remember what Anthony Robbins said. Quote, "To effectively communicate, we must realize that we are all different in the way we perceive the world, and use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others." End quote. Next is capacity. The capacity talks about you and your people have. Everyone must ensure that your content or message is well delivered to the listeners. How you deliver your messages correctly, like your emotions and your voice intonation. We communicate with others to strengthen our relationships, to build greater confidence and appreciation, and promote teamwork and overall social and emotional health. Then the last one is advocacy. How can we promote advocacy if we are not a good speaker or communicator? How can we promote advocacy if we do not know the essence of it? Advocacy is meant to be promoted by either writing or speaking. Advocacy can only be promoted successfully if it is being said clearly, correctly, and concisely. Therefore, being an effective communicator can be seen when one advocacy reaches and touches hearts of people. To summarize the meaning of the model, we can only achieve an effective communication if we can overlap these things. Effective communication can only be achieved if the speaker manage to prevent misunderstandings of concepts, convey and promote his message well without disrespecting the listeners or the audience, and can control his emotions. Remember that effective communication is systematic. We make a straight point in every statement with words spoken and written. To make each conversation is to find an opportunity to work in the sense of humor in any situation. Sometimes we agree to disagree to foster peace in any conversation and become adaptable to the person that we talked about. And this is the best way to illustrate politeness and empathic self-assertion innovatively and truthfully.
Be more open-minded in the organization. Open-mindedness involves being receptive to a wide variety of ideas, arguments, and even information. Being open-minded is generally considered a positive quality. It is necessary ability to think critically and rationally. Stereotyping, ethnocentricity, rigid frames of reference, and selective listening can all become barriers to comprehending the intended message of a sender. If you are not open to other ideas and perspectives, it is difficult to see all of the factors that contribute to a problem or develop effective solutions. In an increasingly polarized world, being able to step outside your comfort zone and consider other perspectives and ideas is more important. So, one of the first things to do to enhance listening skills in the organization is to spend time developing a greater awareness of personal tendencies in the direction of any of these problems. Part of the reason for direct and conscious attention to this area of listening and speaking is that most people talk at about 120 words per minute and yet can listen at about a rate of 1,000 words per minute. This creates the opportunity for the mind to wonder or judge what we hear from others. This tendency can distort what is heard and how it is interpreted in the organization. Once you are aware to these tendencies, you can monitor and control them in your organization during your conversation.
Develop empathy in the organization. Empathy has an ability to recognize emotion of others. It understands the person's perspective on a situation, and it is essential skills in the workplace. Empathy can show deep respect for the coworkers, and it shows that you care instead of just going by rules and regulations. An empathic leadership style can make everyone feel like a team, increase productivity, morale, and loyalty. Empathy is the powerful tool in the leadership's belt of an accepted and prospective executive. It allows us to manage problems, form more productive teams, and strengthen connection with the coworkers and clients. Managers should focus on listening to the meaning of what others are saying. They must put themselves in the shoes of others. It's likely familiar with the saying that before you criticize someone, walk a mile in their shoes. And according to Theodore Roosevelt, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. We should examine our attitudes and keep an open mind, and emphasizing our preconceptions and opinions too much limits our ability to feel empathy. Supervisor can do this by considering their staff personal experience or viewpoints. It can also be applied to problem solving, managing conflict, or promoting innovation. Understanding others is very helpful.
Another thing that you can do to improve your listening skills is to listen actively in the organization. While listening skill is one of the most important skills to have to attain an effective communication within an organization, taking actions to ensure that the receiver hears and understands what the sender is trying to communicate really helps it to improve. Active listening also enables employees, customers, and other stakeholders to feel that their perspectives are heard, accepted, and understood. When communicating or even engaging in just a simple conversation, making eye contact helps the speaker to feel more comfortable and realize that they are actually being heard. While listening, it is important to focus more on the content of the message rather than the style of its delivery. You can also engage with the speaker by asking questions or reflecting on what you have heard. For example, say, "What I'm hearing you is," or "I'm not sure I understand." Well, that demonstrates that you are paying attention and understanding the message that he is trying to convey. While active listening has several immediate and important benefits for an organization. First, it promotes better business communication. It helps teams to develop an effective communication skill. It improves employee morale and helps resolving interpersonal conflict. It also encourages employees to express their opinions and perspectives, and most importantly, it opens the door to new ideas and possibilities.
Non-verbal clues are critical to effective communication in the organization. Listening more open-mindedly and actively to the word is only part of the task in the organization. Non-verbal communication clues are the way you listen, look, move, react, and tell the person you are communicating with whether or not you point. If you are being truthful and how well you are listening when your non-verbal signal match up with the words you are saying, they increase trust, clarify, and rapport. When they don't, they cannot generate tension, mistrust, and confusion. For example, are they telling you yes while shaking their head no? There are many situations in which you will be the sender of a message in the organization. Developing better sending skill in the organization can enhance effective communication. Using the right way to communicate is an important skill. There are benefits and disadvantages to talking through email, letters, phone call, in-person meeting, or instant message. Communicating is better when you consider your audience, what information you want to share, and best way to share it. For example, if you are communicating with a potential employer, it may be better to send a formal email or call them on the phone.
We are all busy people. We don't want to waste our time translating complicated words. Simple language indeed saves time and makes life easier for the people in the organization. Simple language can make us understand everything quickly, so your people will not always ask for explanations, and they may also make fewer errors, and they will comply more accurately and speedily with what they have to do. That's why one of the first things a sender may do to improve communication is to simplify the language. Simplifying may entail excluding jargons or words that are unfamiliar with other audience or other people in the organization. It may also include using shorter phrases and more active and straightforward words when communicating.
The method of organization you choose for your essay is just as important as its content. Without a clear organizational pattern, your reader could become confused and lose interest. The way you structure your essay helps your readers draw connections between the body and the thesis. And the structure also keeps you focused as you plan and write the essay. Choosing your organizational pattern before you outline ensures that each body paragraphs works to support and develop your thesis. This section covers 3 ways to organize body paragraphs. First is the chronological order, or also called time order. Second is the order of importance, which is best used in persuading and convincing. Last is the spatial order. It helps readers visualize something as you want them to see it. You need to keep these organization methods in mind as you plan on how to arrange the information you have gathered in an outline. When you begin to draft your essay, your ideas may seem to flow from your mind in a seemingly random manner. Your readers, who bring to the different table backgrounds, viewpoints, and opinions, need you to organize these ideas to help process and accept them. A solid organizational pattern gives your ideas a path that you can follow as you develop your draft. Knowing how you will organize your paragraphs allows you to better express and analyze your thoughts. Planning the structure of your essay before you choose supporting evidence helps you conduct more effective and targeted research.
When you talk, you want your audience to appreciate and comprehend what you are saying. An audience is a group of individuals who have gathered to hear the speaker. Members of the audience may be in direct contact with the speaker or via communication technology such as computers or other media. The speaker, for example, frequently speaks more while the audience listens, often without asking or providing feedback. The audience may ask questions or respond overtly by clapping or offering comments in some scenarios. Knowing your target audience will enable you to properly organize your message and adapt what you say to the listener's background. Conducting an audience has 2 advantages. The first is to keep you from saying something inappropriate, such as telling an offensive joke. The second is to assist you in communicating with your audience in a language that they understand on topics they are interested in. Your speech will be more successful if you can construct a message that informs and engages your audience.
Communication is the cornerstone of any organization's success. Effective communication ensures the flowing of information between all relevant parties, reducing the potential for misunderstanding, dissatisfaction, and lack of trust. Well, anytime one party misunderstands or misconstrues the words and actions of another, it has the potential to create conflict. Poor communications is really frustrating in the workplace and can lead to poor performance, lack of teamwork, low morale, and reduced profit. Fortunately, there are still ways that you can learn to communicate more effectively. Well, you can practice active listening first. We must remember that effective communicators are good listeners. Active listening means engaging with what people say by giving affirmative replies and asking follow-up questions to show that you are actually paying attention. To improve listening skills in the organization, you need to be open-minded and develop empathy within your workplace. It is also important to listen actively and observe non-verbal clues to avoid conflict, especially when communicating. The first thing that a sender can do to enhance communication is to simplify the language in the message so that everyone can easily understand. Lastly, to convey the message more effectively, the speaker or
The one sending the message must understand their audience very well. Effective communication is about more than just exchanging information. It's about understanding the emotions and intentions behind that information. And to clearly understand a message, you need to listen in a way that gains the whole meaning of what's being said and makes the other person feel heard and understood. That would be all for our presentation. Thank you so much for listening.